In this lecture, we're going to learn about escape sequences. And these are formatting characters that you can put in your string to make it show up better when you print it out on the terminal. Let's show you what I mean. Here we have stdc out, hello, we have a semicolon, and we have stdc out world, and we have stdndl after that. If we try and compile and run a program like this, we're going to see hello and world cramped on one line. Sometimes we don't want that, and we have seen that we can use stdendl to push output to the next line. stdendl is one way to do this, but we can also use a \n to really push this to the next line, and that \n is an escaped character. The backslash in front says that it is an escape character. So hello and word cramped on one line is a problem we can solve with escaped characters, but there are a bunch of other problems that we can solve with this technique. Let's look at another example here. If you look at the last line here, we wanted to print this text here. He said, get out of here immediately. We want this exclamation mark. We also want this quotes output on the terminal. But if we try and put our text in like this, you're going to see that we're going to get errors. stdc out is going to be confused as to what is the start of the string and what is the end of the strings, because inside we have a double quote, and here you see that we have two double quotes. So stdc out is going to be confused, and we need to give it a little more help in letting it know that the double quote in the middle here should be printed as is, and the double quote here before the last one, these guys should be printed as is, and we used escaped characters to really tell stdc out how these things should be handled. Here is another example of something we might want to do. For example, we want to print a to-do list like this. If we want our text to show up like this with a few tab characters in front, you see here that we have a few spaces in front of each line that we print here. If we want to do that, we could use an escaped tab character, and that's going to give us the space here. We're going to see how we can do that in a minute. Another thing we might want to do is to print backslash characters in our string like we have this Windows path here. So if we want to do that, these guys have to be escaped in our program, and we're going to see how we can do that. Okay, so this is the output we might want to get in our C++ program. Let's see how we can put our code together to really get this. Okay, so here is our to-do list. You see that in front of the clean here, we have a \t. The backslash says that this guy is going to be a formatting character, and it's going to be a tab in front of the text that we have here. You see that we also have a \n, which is going to move us to the next line. We have a \t, which is going to add another space for tab, and we keep doing this to really format our to-do list here. If you look here, we want the Windows path printed exactly as we saw in the last slide, and one \, won't do what we want. If we want this guy printed out in stdc out or on the console, we will need to escape the \, with another \, and you're going to see that this is going to work exactly how we want. Here you see another string which is really annoying to look at. If you look here, we have a lot of backslashes, and we say all these backslashes escapes a \, character like two backslashes. And what this is going to do, we're going to have a \, quote. This is going to print out a quote on the console. We have two \, characters. This is going to print one \, character. We have another two \, characters, and these are going to print one. And here you see that we have escaped our quote, and this is going to basically have two backslashes, and we're going to say this is going to escape a \, character like a \, character, because this is also going to print one \, character. Okay, we can say that in general, escape characters are there to really format our strings. Before we head over to Visual Studio Code and play with this, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between \n, which also moves us to the next line, with stdendl, because so far we have mostly been using stdendl. So what is the difference between these two guys? \n moves us to the next line, but it doesn't directly flush stdc out, all the stream. We have seen that when you write to stdc out, it is possible for data to be passed into an intermediary buffer, and the data is written to the output terminal only when the buffer is full. And this reduces the amount of times we could be writing on the terminal, because that eats up on your performance. So going through the buffer and storing up on whatever you want to write to the terminal and write that in one go when the buffer is full is a little bit performant. \n doesn't flush the stream directly, but stdendl does flush the stream, and it might eat up on your performance if you are doing, for example, this in a large loop. So this is the difference. In most cases in this course, I will be using stdendl, but please understand that in practice, especially if you are doing something a lot of times, it is better to use \n. Okay, now that you know the difference between these two guys and the general idea behind escape characters, we're going to head over to Visual Studio Code and play with us. Okay, here we are in our working folder. The current project is Escape Sequences, and we are going to grab our template files. Let's do that pretty quick. We're going to put them in place, and we're going to open this in Visual Studio Code. Let's do that, open folder, and we are going to try and print stuff out on the terminal. We're going to say stdc out. Okay, if we do this and try to compile and run the program, you must guess what we will have. We will print hello, and we will also print world right after hello on the same line. These things are going to be cramped on one line. Let's build with GCC and see that the build is good, and we can bring up a terminal and run Rooster. You're going to see it's saying hello world on one line. Sometimes you want to split these two guys on two separate lines. And we have seen that we can use stdendl at the end like this. And if we do something like this, this is going to push output to the next line, and world is going to be printed on the next line here. So we're going to have hello on one line and world on the next line. Let's build and see this. We are going to clear and run Rooster. You see we have hello world. But this is not the only way to do this. And we have seen in the slides that stdendl is not only going to move you to the next line, but it is also going to flush the stream. So for example, if we are doing hello in a loop here, let's say we have a for loop, why not? And we're going to print hello in a loop here. So we are essentially going to print hello 1,000 times. But what I want you to see here is that each time we get in the loop here, we will be flushing and sending output to the console directly. And this is really bad. You don't need to send everything you write on stdc out on the terminal directly. It is better to put that in a buffer and send all that in one go to the terminal when the buffer is full. But that's not what we're doing here. Unfortunately, I don't really have a way I can show you this, but that's the difference between stdendl and \n, as we are about to see. stdendl flashes the stream every time you do something like this, but \n is not going to flush the stream. It is going to flush the stream when the buffer is full. So if we run this, we're basically going to be flushing the stream 1,000 times, even if we don't need to do that sometimes. So we are going to build. The build is going to be good, and going to clear and run Rooster. We're going to say hello 1,000 times, but each time we will be flushing the stream. A better way to do this in practice is to remove stdendl and add the \n, which is our escape character here. And the \n is going to move us to the next line, but it's not going to unnecessarily flush the stream. The stream is going to be flushed when the buffer is full. Let's clear this. We're not going to see a difference in output, but things are going to be different in how we flush the stream or not. So we're going to run Rooster. You see 1,000 times here, but we're not going to be flashing the string every time as we just said. So this is one type of escape character we can use in our C++ code when we are printing stuff out on the console. Let's go down and see another example here. Suppose we want to print this on the console. He said, get out of here immediately, and we want this double quote here to be printed and want this one to be printed, and we want the message here to show up as is on the console. How do we do that? As you see now, we already have compiler errors. We have these squiggly lines, and you might guess the reason for this. It is because the compiler doesn't really know where this string starts and where it ends. It usually uses double quotes like this to know the delimitation of the string. But now we have double quotes inside and it is really confused. So how do we get out of this mess? Let's try and build and see the compiler error. It's going to say operator get with const char. Okay, so what is happening here? The compiler is thinking that this is our only string. And the rest here is really garbage, so it's not going to be valid C++ code. But we need a way to tell it that this is not the end of our string. This is just a double quote that we want to print it as part of the message here. The same goes for this double quote towards the end here. The way we do that, we're going to use escape characters. And it is ridiculously easy to do if you put a backslash in front of this double quote here. And at each double quote that you want printed as is, you're going to add a backslash in front, and you're going to see that Visual Studio Code is going to be happy. And if we try to build this, the build is going to be good, as we see here. And if we clear this and run Rooster, we're going to see the output that we expect here on the console. And it is, he said, get out of here immediately. You see that we have our quote printed here, a double quote I should say, and we have a double quote on the end. And this is how you would do this using escape characters. Okay, now that you know this, we can do a few more examples. Let's do that. We're going to comment this out. Go to the next line and comment. And we're going to put in the code we want to play with. And it is exactly what you have seen in the slides. We have a to-do list here, and we want it formatted in a special way. We're going to have a tab space in front of which to-do list, and we're going to move to the next line each time we print something, and this is how you do this. We also have a Windows path here. You see that we have escaped our backslash character because we want it printed as is. As an example, if we go on our disk here, I am on my C drive. If I try to look at the path here, you see that we have one backslash character, but in our code here we have two backslashes. The reason is we are escaping the backslash character itself, and it is going to be printed as is on the console. If we try to store a Linux path here, you see that we are using forward slashes, and we don't need to escape this because this is going to show up exactly like this. The forward slash doesn't have a special meaning on the terminal when we try to print it out. The reason we need to escape a backslash character is that it has a special meaning, and that it denotes that whatever is after it is an escape sequence, and it should be helping in formatting our string on whatever medium will be in charge of displaying that string. This is the meaning here. Down here you see that we also have a hint. It is something I made complicated on purpose to show you that these escape characters can get really ugly to read. What I really want here is to say that a double backslash is used to escape a single backslash. And we need to escape this quote here, so we have a backslash in front of it. We also need to escape this backslash, so we're going to put a backslash in front, so we're going to have two backslashes. We're going to have two more backslashes to make it one backslash when it is printed out, and we need one more backslash in front of this double quote to have it printed as is. And what we have here towards the end is also going to be one backslash character when we print this out, and we are essentially escaping the backslash character itself. So if we print these things out, we're going to get what we expect. Let's do that. We're going to build with GCC. The build is going to be good. We're going to clear, and we're going to run Rooster, and we're going to have our to-do list. You're going to see that we have a few spaces in front here, and these spaces are basically our tab spaces that we are inserting using our \t here. And after each message, you see we're going to move to the next line, and the reason is because of this \n we have after this, and we are basically going to print this thing you see here. You see that we also have our Windows path printed out down here, and it is what we expect exactly. We escaped each / character here. We have our Linux path printed out because we don't really need to escape this, so it is going to show up as is. But at the end here, you see that our thing is printed out as / escapes a / character like a \. And this is exactly what escape sequences can be used for. Okay, this is really all there is about escape sequences. They are used to put formatting information in your strings, and they are useful especially if you try to print stuff out on the console and you want them formatted in a certain way. These are just a few examples we have looked at, but if you want, you can head over to your favorite C++ standard library reference and search for escape sequences, and you're going to have a list of these guys. For example, you see that we can escape a single quote, we can escape a double quote here, we can escape a question mark, we can escape a \. We can really do all kinds of crazy things. To have some fun, I'm going to show you that we can also use \a to have some audible bell played on your computer. And the way we're going to do that, we are going to go back to our C++ program in Visual Studio Code. We're going to comment out whatever we had, and we're going to say stdcout \a. This is going to play the audible bell, some audio file you hear played on your computer when you do something and the operating system wants to get your attention on something. So if you run this program now, it is going to play it. I'm not sure you're going to hear it because I have my headsets on right now. But if we build, let's build and make sure that our code is updated in our binary. We're going to run Rooster. The build is good. I'm not hearing this play. But this must be the terminal from Visual Studio Code here messing with us. So let's try and hunt for this file here on our file system. We're going to find it. I'm going to hit the file name for main CPP here and right click and say reveal in Explorer. And I am going to open up a PowerShell window here, and I am going to run this Rooster file myself. We have seen how we could do that in a previous chapter. Now I am going to run Rooster. Now it's playing. Okay, you can hear this play, and this is how you can do something like this using the \a here. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture. I hope you found it interesting. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to learn about row string literals and how they can allow you to avoid escape sequences like this if you think that they make your code ugly. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.